think you should.
Welcome to this week's episode of Whoscussion. We're your hosts from Whānau, That Random Guy, and the sensually pleasing Harriet Skelly.
Yeah, always here.
Always here, always ready, always
reporting for duty.
Robots, roll out! So, this week for part A, we'll be covering the creature from the pit and Nightmare of Eden. And then we'll be finishing up this week with part B, using the 8th Doctor's short trip, Letting Go. We're back with Charlie Pollard. We're not quite up to the full cast audios yet. This is a short trip, and it's our first 8th Doctor short trip, so we're going to be going over that. And it's back in the day when they were actually properly short, so there's not much to handle there. And Harriet Skelly will be finishing us up this week with The Way of the Empty Hand. I just realised that's a reference to karate.
Yes. Oh, really? Wow.
Because my brain's like,
the sworn enemy of Kunman.
And Terre meaning hand. But anyway, here we are. Creature from the pit. I'll take us away, actually, for this week. I'll be starting us off. So it's the third story in season 17. So far I've been enjoying it. I mean, this definitely isn't a change of form. I enjoyed Creature from the Pit as well. This is probably the most schlock Doctor Who's had since Horror of Fang Rock. This is the most sort of schlocky it's been. It's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. I really enjoyed this, but there is a character in this.
There are a lot of quite characters.
But her name is Corella, and she is played by Eileen Loueye, who played Old's mother in the first ever story of Doctor Who. Carl will not bring you higher. And that's literally every time she spoke. I just wanted her to say the word fire. And she actually fully says the word fire only once in this, and she doesn't give it the same inflection, and I was a little let down.
Just a few manly tears.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm so sad. She could have said fire, but she is playing a different character, and she definitely plays it as a different character, but there's still that spark in her voice, and I love it. It's just like, seeing her, as soon as I saw her, I was like, Harriet Skelly, old mother, she's here. Carl will not bring you fire. So, K9 suffering from some Leesonitis. He sounds a bit like
terrible Leesonitis.
Yeah,
he sounds horrid.
Yeah. So the actor who they got in to replace him doesn't get that K9's meant to be like a comical, sassy genius.
Yeah,
and he plays him like a robot.
He's a good voice actor.
Yeah.
In all honesty, but he's not K9 in any shape or form.
He isn't. And since John Leeson plays K9 in the Sarah Jane Smith adventures, we know that everybody preferred John Leeson. And John Leeson even plays him in School Reunion, back with the 10th Doctor there. So, I don't know if it's a writing or a performance choice, but David Brierley, who's replaced John Leeson, he plays K9 like a robot, and K9 is so much more than that. And I really hope that's not a writing flaw. And
it does seem like it's kind of both. Really.
Yeah,
that someone's written him not to be the same character, and the director has also said, okay, I understand your method for this, and then the voice actor's like, okay, robot.
Yeah, robot. Yeah,
so
I'm getting paid to be a robot.
It sort of fell over in every step of the way, really.
Yeah, and it's just it doesn't detract that much from the story. But since K9's back, he is a major player. It's weird, they've nerfed him. And I think they've nerfed him kind of on purpose, because he started becoming David Tennant and Matt Smith's Sonic Screwdriver, where he was the fix-all.
Yeah, I mean, he's still kind of a fix-all. Like, they still ask him to fix things. It's just, it's more of a, they're putting the wood in front of the Sonic Screwdriver.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, definitely.
As they're saying, they're giving him less things to be able to fix.
So yeah, he takes on these really, I really like them. These sort of sentient plants.
Oh yes, they're like what have I written down here? They're like frisky tribbles.
Frisky tribbles. Perfect.
They're so good. Like, I'm reminded of the was it last week? I think it was last week we did a story about
the sentient tumbleweeds.
Yeah, the sentient tumbleweeds.
Yeah.
That's it. They're like big like living tumbleweeds. It's great.
I was actually reminded of that short trip when they appeared. It makes sense because this world is pretty much all flora. It's a very dense jungle world, and it appears that each of these countries are extremely separated, even in terms of culture. Because we meet a character in this story. His name is Aganon, who is he's essentially a prophet. And
no, he is a soothsayer.
Yeah. He is a soothsayer, but to be honest, he gets a lot of stuff right. I mean,
but only because of being generally vague.
Yeah, generally vague about it. And I love that the Doctor brings it up. He's like, so you just be terribly vague then? And Agonon's like, yeah.
Well,
So we'll rewind it back up a bit here. So the Doctor and Romana, they land on this world. K9's brought back with us, and it's weird that K9's sort of up and about, because like the last time they were on a very heavy flora planet, K9 was restricted to the TARDIS, but you know, that was because John Leeson wanted that screen time, and fair enough. So they come here,
they carry him around.
Yeah, they actually do. There's a lot of carrying around, especially like
pretty funny,
Lava Ward's upper body strength must be next level, because like K9 does not look light.
No, he does. When she's picking him up, she's acting appropriately because she's a good actor.
Yeah.
But when the guard picks him up, he actually picks him up as though he's made of polystyrene.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if there's probably two separate props. Because like K9...
I don't know. I don't think it was two separate props. I'm pretty sure that when she picked him up, she was acting as though he was his correct weight.
Yeah.
But the guard was acting as though he was the weight.
That guard guy is so great, because like his allegiances lie to just himself, and I'll bring that up later on. But I like that guard guy. And he was the right type of guard guy. I found that he reminded me a bit of like if Farah was mixed with his teacher. That's what he felt like to me. So Farah from the androids of Tara. So Farah and his teacher merged together. So that way a little bit of the sort of overtly violent tendencies of Farah sort of pull back a bit there and a bit more restrained. But he works for a woman by the name of Adrasta. So Adrasta is the ruler of these people. And it appears that, actually it's pretty much outrightly stated that women are of higher political standing than men. They're higher up in all forms of societal hierarchy, and I thought it was quite a nice. I found it quite nice, and it was a lot less on the nose than the Dravine of Galaxy 4. Because the Dravine of Galaxy 4 are probably too far, though they were supposed to be space Amazons, so I understand why they were like that. But Adrasta, she believes in science to an extent, but feels that it shouldn't be used to make the people of her country see past the planet. She doesn't like the idea of people from other worlds. She doesn't like the idea of space travel, so she's very isolationist.
Yeah, but that seems to be for a reason in particular.
So she's extremely isolationist, and it is brought up that because metal is the most important commodity within their economy, because of the lack of metal available, because they don't seem to be into refining by the looks of things. There doesn't seem to be a lot of refining going on, because they've left the country that they live in to be completely covered in forests. It doesn't appear that there's interpersonal a trade within the countries, because Argonon appears to be the only person who's ever travelled on the whole planet.
Yeah.
Because he does bring that up. He says very few people do that nowadays. So I suppose every country's become isolationist, and I would really like to see... I'm into ambiguity. I really like ambiguity, but this is one of the moments where I'd like Big Finish to pick up on this world and maybe talk about different parts of the world. Maybe there's an ice colony. I mean, we don't know, and because they're so isolationist, we probably can't know. So I would like to see that played out. There's these groups of they're pretty much outcast men. They've tried to leave the female-driven society, and they've pretty much regressed into cavemen. I loved these guys. They pretty much serve no purpose to the plot whatsoever at all, actually.
Well, they just seem they
like
seem
a Greek
like comic
chorus.
relief in a certain
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, they were like comic relief. They're a bit like Puck in A Midsummer Night's Dream. They definitely reminded me of that. Though Puck was kind of integral to the plot in a way because he mucked up the love potion, whereas these guys don't do anything except for deliver a spinning disc. So
Yeah, but it seems that they were the simple-minded tools.
oh yeah, I loved how like afraid of women they were as well. Like because like they get Romana and they're like what why did you kidnap her? We thought it might be a good idea. No. This is a bad idea. If Adastra comes here, she's gonna kill every single one of us. And then Romana picks up on that. She's like, yeah, Adastra, I know her. She's my boo. She's gonna kill all of you. And so she plays along with it. The doctor's brought in sort of a faux prisoner setup. He's sort of imprisoned, quotation marks, by Adastra, but she wants the doctor's knowledge on something, and that's actually just eluded me right now. Oh no, it was his knowledge on the so they found this giant shell, and the doctor surmises it might be a giant egg, and the quote unquote scientists of her people.
Yes,
yeah,
this is great.
They were like, if it was a bird, it would be huge. I haven't seen a bird like that. And the doctor's like, well, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, does it? And like simply because he like poses that question, this guy gets executed by Adastra.
Well, it wasn't because of that. It was because he absolutely taught him a new one.
Yeah.
Like in the best way. Just like taking the mickey out of him completely, not even realizing what was going to happen, and then he gets totally brutally killed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he does. The gentleman's thrown into the pit, and there's a creature there that seems to be killing people. The doctor ends up jumping into the pit as well, pretty much to get out of the clutches of Adastra, and he finds that the creature is accidentally killing people. It's not on purpose killing people. It appears to be very intelligent, but it cannot communicate. And which makes me wonder how they communicate between themselves as a species. I'll be interested in that. The doctor does pose that they might be telepathic, but he doesn't seem to be picking up on any of that. And considering their Time Lords are high functioning telepaths, they must.
Which I'm also kind of curious about is why he didn't just like
use contact.
Yeah, didn't just use contact immediately.
I would have just been like, contact. Oh, okay, cool, I got it.
Yeah, I'm guessing that maybe because he didn't know he didn't know the biotic. Man, I'm trying to find a word that works for this.
Anatomically.
Yeah, he didn't know its composition and its mental capacity, so he didn't want to try and contact with it, because in case he heard it or he heard himself doing so.
Yeah, because that seems like that would have been a thing as well. And what I liked about the prop used to become this creature is it reminded me of the creature from Meet, the Torchwood story. So I quite liked that. I was like, I wonder if maybe they're the same planet, maybe, because they're just a hulking mass of protein. And also, I loved that the actions that the people controlling the prop performed within the prop, because the things that the doctor was saying about what it was trying to do, you could actually see that from the physicality of the prop work. And I thought it was really well done. I'm glad that they didn't use something like superimposed and they used an actual on-set prop. Because we've seen some of the superimposition that's been used in the Tom Baker run. Hasn't been great. Yes. But again, the story shows us that the sheer amount of budget this season seems to have. And I'm wondering if the Key to Time arc was very, very popular. because for this season to have a significant increase in budget, that's the only thing I can assume from that. And I just love the back and forth the Doctor has with this creature, and I kind of felt like I wish it didn't talk later on in the story. I understand why, and it made it easier to resolve the plot to do that, but I felt like it would have been better to have maybe the Doctor be the sort of the voice on behalf of, which I know is ironic because he technically is the voice on behalf of at some points of the story, using the psychic disc that connects to this creature. But I don't know, I felt like, for me, I would have preferred it if the Doctor was the voice on behalf of, because of his understanding of the creature on a physical level. But again, I think that would have been hard to get across, and it's just me like nitpicking because I can't really find any negatives with the story. I didn't have anything wrong with it. I was in for a good ride. I came out pretty happy. The huntsman. Well, that was his name, right? That was the name of the guard, Huntsman?
I think so. Something like that.
Hang on, TARDIS Wiki will know. Yes, Huntsman. Yes. I loved his costume. I absolutely loved his costume. If I was any good at tailoring, I would totally walk around as him as a con. Just
the entire costume. All of the costumes were immaculate. Like Astra, Adastra?
Yeah, Adastra.
Her costume was fantastic. Yeah. It was like this head dress thing that was like pulling her hair into the big bundle, and a lot of like frilly like metal things that was obviously clearly just for status because the metal, but also like she was wearing this corset, like half corset, that was also plated in metal, which was just it was both a symbol of her femininity as well as her status. It was great.
Yeah, and I love that the sort of status of woman wasn't played again like it was in Galaxy 4, where it was like having a woman hierarchy is evil. Adastra is kind of the bad guy, but I understand where she's coming from. She's a relatable villain because she's afraid of her entire culture falling apart because of the introduction of this alien's trade. Because metal is meant to be precious, rare, and something that their culture as a whole sees as precious and sort of sacred. So for this being to say, hey, look, we eat plants and we love the stuff. Can we have it? I want to trade metal with you, which is what the creature in the pit's trying to do. He's trying to open up a trade avenue, but Adastra imprisons him, removes his communicator, and he ends up becoming the aforementioned the creature from the pit. And I understand where she's coming from. Obviously, it was still wrong. I don't agree with her methods, but I understand why she did it. And that's a good villain, in my opinion. If you can understand why they did the thing that they did, even if you don't agree with it, I think that comes off a lot. Because it makes them more real life. It's like, as evil as Adolf was, Mr. Hitler did it for reasons he believed in. So it makes the person more relatable. I mean,
it's a matter of, I guess, you're right with the bad. Being a good villain means being able to see their reasoning and see it as even though it's absurd, it's still a possible logic.
Something Modern Who might want to learn from.
Maybe. But at the same time, you obviously should recognize that if an alien comes down and it's like, hey, I'm going to trade you guys metal for plants, what a good economist would have probably thought immediately is, okay, but you're only dealing with me, so I will sell that metal.
That would have been, see, that's an intelligent thing she could have done, was opened it up so that she still is the one trading the metal. But I suppose the thing is, and somebody actually brings it up in the story, it's one of the people who remove themselves from society. He says, if everybody has metal, it's worth nothing.
Yeah.
And that's definitely something that Adastra was fearing. And it's something that this gentleman appears to fear as well. Like, he only has 3 lines of dialogue in the whole story, and he brings it up. He brings up something that sort of backs up Adastra's reasoning. So I thought that was a nice little tidbit. It's something that didn't have to be there, but it was. It helps the audience understand a bit more. It gives you an insight again into their culture. And I think this was a very well fleshed out story. I can't see any negatives. Apart from the one I mentioned earlier. But I think season 17's been good, and it's just bizarre to see this just sort of happen. Imagine 17 years into your show and it just got better. Like, that's peculiar, and I think Doctor Who's one of the very rare examples of that being possible, where a show just got better so far into it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, it's not necessarily like strictly better. It's just there's always varying bits to it, like because of how long it's been going. It's and the amount of change that's happened with it. You know, it's not. It's never been all the same actors, never been all the same writers, and all the same
quality.
Yeah, or all the same, even the same budget in any case. So it makes sense that so many things about it changed. It's also because technology, and especially in the film industry, was changing as we spoke about it. Basically, just color TV were happening. We changed from black and white to color, and from film to tape to back to film, that sort of stuff. So it's it makes sense that such a change has happened. But there is one particular change that I would notice, that I'm noticing, particularly in this story, is Romana is becoming useless.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. And that's one thing I was going to bring it up in Nightmare of Eden. Is I can see why Mary Tam walked away. Yeah. Romana is not the same character. She's not even the same character that Lala Ward will go on to play still as Romana with Big Finish. And I think Big Finish must have picked up on this, that they made her crap. Yeah. She's just, she seems so useless in every circumstance. Like, basically, like, she couldn't even wiggle her way out of the Savage's tent without K9. Like, that's something that the Doctor could have done with anything. Like, it's something Mary Tam's Romana could have done as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the thing is that I expected her to be able to do it. It just seems like she's the actor, the role that she's been given, and the the script they've laid out for her is painting her in the companion light rather than the
fact that she's a Time Lord.
Yeah, the fact that she's a Time Lord and is at least on equal footing with the Doctor.
She's superior than him intellectually as well, and Mary Tam plays that.
Yeah, so it's interesting.
She's not as worldly as the Doctor, but she certainly is more intelligent than him.
Yeah, she has the intelligence. She's not necessarily as witty, but that's the deal.
It is frustrating, and it's annoying that, like, a character as powerful as Romana, she was very helpful during the Key to Time arc, where she's literally trying to defeat a god, and then this happens, and it's just, I absolutely, if I was Mary Tam and I took a look at the scripts, I'd be like, I'm walking. Yeah, and that's basically what happened. Yeah, it's actually what happened. And I mean, any actor in that situation where they're like, oh, we're going to completely 180 your character, no, because it goes against the already established plot. It's like the gentleman who voices Principal Skinner in The Simpsons. When they changed Skinner's backstory in the story where you find out that the Principal and the Pauper, you find out that Principal Skinner is not actually who we always thought he was. And the voice actor says, you've betrayed the intellect of the audience because you have punished them for paying attention. And I absolutely put this down onto the character of Romana as well. You have been punished for following her continuity. And that's not right. In a show that's so filled with continuity and something that it treasures, to do this 180 to a character makes no sense. Yeah, you can say, oh, every regeneration's different. But I mean, like, the Doctor hasn't become less intelligent as he's regenerated. His personality's changed and how he approaches things changes. Romana should not become useless, and it makes no sense. Yeah, exactly. Like, I can understand her emotional responses to a lot of this stuff, and the way that she's acting more like a companion in that sense. But the fact that she was unable, she's being unable to work her way out of a situation, or her just taking a back seat basically to a whole lot of situations, and having to call on K9 to save her from things, and being so terribly worried about the Doctor as well. Like, it's like, that he is hyper intelligent, and that he would not jump in the pit with no good reason. So come on, what's really? Also, fearing for the Doctor's life doesn't make sense on her part, because she literally comes from an alien species that can just come back to life, and he's from the same species.
Exactly. So
So, I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of betrayal to the character. And it's not fair on Lala Ward, because Lala Ward is intelligent in real life as well. She's a very learned person. Her husband is Richard Dawkins. So, you know, like, she is a clued-in cookie. And to be giving this to her, it's unfair. It's unfair to Lala Ward, it's unfair to the character, and it's unfair to us as the audience who followed her story throughout the key to time.
indeed.
So we'll move on to Nightmare of Eden, and not the Nightmare of Eden, as I keep saying Harriet Skelly this week. Nightmare of Eden. Harriet Skelly, take us away. Hang on, I just need to take a little bit of this. There we go. I'm feeling a lot better. All right.
Okay.
Nightmare of Eden.
Did you just take some drugs? What?
Yes, I did. But you know.
Okay. Well, I guess that is kind of a good segue into this.
It is indeed.
This is all about
Kids don't do that at home.
Yeah, don't do that at home. That's interesting. Anyway, yeah, Nightmare of Eden, is not a religious story by any means, which is nice. Although that's kind of what it makes it seem like, doesn't it? It is, however, an anti-drug episode.
It really is.
It's interesting.
Don't do Vraxian at home, guys.
Yeah, basically, don't do fungal drugs and fly spaceships.
Yes,
don't
do it.
That is actually totally the theme of this. So if you're going to go into high warp, don't take drugs.
Yeah, and because it's the 80s and PSAs were everywhere, this totally fits.
It does, and it's really good too. I mean, it's still like... this story, though, it's got some really weird things going on with it. Mainly, the interesting aspect of the ships being tied into each other is something that I want to take away real quick. Talking about the science of Doctor Who. It's interesting that is a case, because necessarily, when it comes to warp capability, it's simply just being able to travel faster than light, which most of the time you wouldn't really imagine is actually like decomposing. Not decomposing.
I'm just going to interject here. The Doctor does say that the ship materializes.
Yes, so it's not the same. It's not warp as in warp. It's not Star Trek warp. It's a different sort of deal. It's more them traveling in subspace, and then materializing into real space on top of whatever's there, and that's why they reconnect like that, which is very interesting. That human beings are doing that, considering they mostly, as the Doctor has pointed out in many other stories, they mostly are just warp capable, not subspace travel. So it's interesting within the science behind Doctor Who.
Do you reckon it could be a form of transmat? You know how humanity invents transmat and they bring it up all the bloody time in Classic Who?
Yeah.
Do you reckon it could be a form of transmat, maybe?
I don't think so. Transmat seems to be like site to site.
Yeah.
Rather than like that. It does seem like it is simply them utilizing subspace in that same way, which is also another particularly interesting thing, is that if they're capable of subspace travel in that manner, then why is this a cruise liner that has like an aeroplane feel to it? Yeah. Absolutely
agree. And also, since transmat's a thing by this point in time, why are they just transmat to that planet?
Exactly, as well. Like, they could, if they can do subspace travel, then they should be able to do subspace communication, which means they can teleport. They would absolutely be able to teleport from one planet to another planet in the same galaxy, at least. So, yeah, it's very interesting. And it also means that drug trafficking would be extremely easy to pull off, because you just transmit them rather than put them on a ship. And in the same brand of that, they are able to. This scientist has figured out a way of doing the zoo thing. What did they call it on the circus? There was
the you mean from the Carnival of Monsters?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Where they've effectively shrunk these things down, but not in the same way. It's totally not the same story, guys. All right, it's It is.
It is.
But it is, but it isn't. It's more. It's not the same technology. It's not them shrinking down. It's them being like stored.
Miniscope.
Yeah, it's not like the miniscope. Well, it is like the miniscope, but it's not the miniscope. It is the
Yeah, it's not like the miniscope in the sense that the miniscope makes people think they're still in the same point in their own history.
Well, that's what this was supposed to do as well. Is that it's supposed to?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, holy crap! Okay, so it's the same story.
It is effectively the same story, except the Doctor doesn't exactly get stuck in it, which is nice.
And he doesn't go, "This is illegal," because the third Doctor.
Well, he
was
does.
Like,
He does.
Oh, he does say. Oh,
He's not
no
like this is
crap.
illegal, but he's not. I don't like this. I've been in this before. I don't like this.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a nice little point to it.
It's also interesting that Romana brings up the fact that the Time Lords do that because we know the Time Lords do that from Day of the Doctor.
Yes.
With their art. So.
Yes, they do. But it's very interesting with that technology as well. Is that he's obviously able of putting a large section of a planet, not necessarily particularly large, but a relatively large section if it's capable of holding several aliens in it, into basically teleporter suspension in a crystal, right? In the same way that Star Trek does their teleporter suspension. So it's very interesting that he went through all that trouble of doing that, putting it in a crystal, and then transporting that physically place to place instead of just transmitting it in the same way that he's just done.
Holy crap, yes.
It's But hey, that's just the science, you know. This is not really, when you really think about it, a science fiction. It's more of a fantasy show.
Yeah, Doctor Who is definitely more of a fantasy show.
Yeah, so that's why the aliens that we see are like big beetle-looking things, which are really cool and interesting in design. Actually, I really like them. But they also
they kind of looked way too cute to be the monster of the story.
Yeah, they kind of did as well at the same time. They looked really cute. But then you realize that the reason why they're there in the first place, and even though they're so dangerous, although they seem to be dangerous, is because they are the drug.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like that's actually a pretty interesting turn when you really think about it like that, because this is not something that's obviously not something that's happened before in any other sci-fi, because no really other sci-fis really needed to go that deep before. But it doesn't really also happen again until like later on, when people start thinking, what if aliens were the drugs?
Yes.
Oh, crazy. No, Doctor Who's already done it.
Doctor Who did it. I mean, Doctor Who, like Torchwood even has that, like they use the human babies as drugs.
Yeah, so it's interesting. But yeah, this whole story plays out in a more interesting fashion than what's recently happened. Mainly because the Doctor he's actually just shown up willy-nilly, with a randomizer. And so it's not real good point for him to be there, but he hasn't immediately been like shunned or been like thrown in a pit or being told he's
gets like everybody wants to be his friend in this story, kind of.
Exactly. It's crazy. Like as soon as he shows up, they're just like, "Oh, hey, who are you? You're pretty cool." It's really great. But then, of course, of course, when you realize this is a Doctor Who story, you know that at some point it's going to have to go downhill a little bit for them to be raising stakes.
Yeah.
So eventually they figure out that the Doctor's not who he says he is. Well, at least he's not on the books anywhere. Which leads to this fantastic dialogue. It's beautiful. Is the Doctor the Fourth Doctor has this way of like doing the spin on anything anyone says, and it makes people like get thrown through loops, and you can even feel it in your own mind when you watch it. You're like, wow, that's really witty there. Like, how did you? It shows definitely that he is a very intelligent character. That
Yeah.
that you're not sure. It must be very hard for any actor that's dealing with Tom Baker to like get over that as well.
Yeah, heaps of his stuff is totally improv, you can tell.
Yeah, it's beautiful. But there's this perfect line of dialogue where, initially he tells the crew, that the two captains of the ships that collided, he tells them that he's from Galactic, and is basically working as insurance, and doing some investigation. So when the initial captain finds out that he's tried to track down what's the Doctor's deal, finds out that the Galactic has actually been bankrupt and actually has nowhere to be found, he accosts the Doctor and says, hey, Galactic's actually been bankrupt so for like 2 years, so I don't believe you. And then Doctor's just like, oh, so that's why I haven't been paid, and just continues carrying on.
Yeah,
It's
and he
like,
just goes with it.
yeah, and he does it like a split second. Like, this like he's clearly made up this this action and then managed to think of a way of getting out of that problem, and acted accordingly perfectly. And in just a few split seconds, he's done that, and it's immaculate, because as a watcher, you know that it's not true, but anyone else would have been totally fooled by that. They would be like, "What are you?" They would be tricked in it for a few seconds. I'd be like, hang on, really? You've still been working for them, and even though you haven't been paid, and then just them thinking, is he an idiot, or is he so intelligent that he's tricking me, or what's happening here? Like, you would get so confused by that response. It's just, it's snap on. It's perfect.
Tom Baker just the Eternity P. Tom Baker, and he just nails it. It's so refreshing. But the thing that annoys me is, what does Romana do in the story?
Yeah, that too.
What does she do? The whole story
as continued on from before.
She doesn't do a single actual thing. The whole story.
Let's do this. She is effectively, what is she effectively? She's effectively a camera.
Yeah.
She doesn't ask any real pertinent questions. She doesn't uncover anything. She's not really doing anything. She's just sort of there when some things are going on. So there is a reason for the camera to be there. Yeah. Basically.
Exactly. How do we see this other thing?
Yeah, which is Romana. It's a fair method of storytelling, but if she's not going to play into the story, why is she in the story? She could have easily have sat in the TARDIS this whole time and would not have noticed.
Yeah, seriously, she could fully pull a K9 from, the power of Kroll. Like,
yeah.
I'm in the TARDIS.
So, yeah.
Yeah, this is why I was going to bring it up here, is because in this story in particular, Romana, as Harriet Scully says, is just a camera. She does literally nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish I could say that was like figurative, like, I'm abusing the word literal, but she literally doesn't affect the plot. It's so frustrating.
When she absolutely could have been replaced by a potted plant.
Yeah.
Or just actually have the cameraman come out from behind the camera and be like, hey, I'm filming here, guys.
Hey, just so you know, I'm filming here. I'm the cameraman. My name's Dave. I'm a good guy. Yeah.
Like, she's literally there just to wave her hands and worry about things as well. Like, it gets real tedious.
Yeah, and like pretty much.
I mean, okay, no, there was this one point where the Doctor says to her, hey, go and press the controls. And she gets there, and then there's this bad.
Oh yeah, that's the beginning of episode 4, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's like,
so she gets arrested.
Well, that's the thing, is that it doesn't even happen like that. It's like he's like, I'm gonna shoot you if you touch those controls, and she's like, well, you're gonna shoot me anyway, so I'm gonna touch the controls.
I'm gonna touch the controls.
But the thing is that that action was not worth her being in the entire story. Like that could have got played
K9
out.
could have filled out that role.
Exactly, K9 could have done that.
He does so much killing in the story. Like,
He does those.
wow.
He
And
shoots
there's that
everything.
one guy who's fully dead, and Romana goes, "No, he's just paralyzed." I'm like, "No, he's dead." Like she's trying to reassure the guy. She's like, "No, he's just paralyzed." He's like, "Nah, my G, he's not alive."
So yeah, it's Romana. Her only real action in the story could have been done by any other character. Basically, if they'd allowed room in the story for there to be a good working relationship between the Doctor and the initial captain, like I imagined that there may have been attempted to be put in the story, because eventually at some point the main captain just like starts getting drugged up, and then he just doesn't attribute to the story after that. So it absolutely could have just been filled out by him not getting drugged up and helping the Doctor. Like that easily could have filled out Romana's role in this, and she could have just stayed in the TARDIS for this episode, for the story. It's really sad, basically. It's really sad that she's basically become a button pusher. That she is a red shirt in her own. It's kind of, it's not good.
No, it sucks. But
otherwise, these two stories have been pretty good. Honestly, it is really sad that Romana is getting pushed out of the story, and it makes sense that, well, we now know why we've been given this new Romana, because there's no way that she would have been able to accept these scripts, honestly.
I don't blame her for walking. This is terrible.
Exactly. So hopefully we get some better scripts soon, but otherwise,
well, when we do the E-Space arc, Romana is definitely playing a more active role, so
there you go.
That's 2 seasons away. So
well,
so hey, that's a thing.
Something to look forward to, everybody.
Yeah. Woo! Yeah. So that is us for part A this week, and we'll catch you all in part B.
On the flip side.